In today's video, I am going to be giving you fantastic basketball drills for young basketball players from roughly grades 1 to 6, but you can still use these drills with older teams as well. Really quickly, if you're looking for basketball practice plans for your team, make sure to go check out the description below for a link to a lot of different practice plans that you'll probably like a lot. Okay, so in this drill, what we're going to be having is what we call closeout passing with two lines, or at least that's what I like to call it. So what we're going to have is two lines, one on each side of the key, and then one at the three-point line at each of the sides of the key. From there, what we're going to be going and doing is having player 1, in this case red, he is going to be passing the ball out to player 5, and at this time we're going to be having both player 5 red and player 1 red closing out and playing defense on the first two players of these lines. From there, what we're going to have is a 2-on-2 game. We only want there to be a maximum of 2 or 3 passes, depending on your team and how you feel as a coach when it comes to passing. We only want to have 3 dribbles total and 1 shot. So how I like to have it done is with 3 passes, 3 dribbles, and 1 shot. That way it's easy to do the math in our heads. The reason why this is a great drill is because now we can have a few set rules. We can have our team understand, hey, we want to do some screen and rolls, and that's maybe what we will do. And then that way we can get a couple of quick baskets on the 2-on-2 game. We could also have, when these two players are closing out, a quick pass over to player 5 who will attack the key. That would then possibly collapse these two players. We could then have player 2 run around player 5 for a quick basket. There are a lot of different options that we can have with this drill. Another option is to have a quick pass over to player 2 again before there's a closeout, and then have player 5 blue do that screen and roll for player 2. We could also have that quick pass over to player 2 again, but instead of a screen, have player 5 cut towards the basket. Because what could happen here now is this defender is still closing out. Player 1 was still closing out going in this direction, now needs to try and catch up. Meanwhile, player 2 could take a quick pass to player 5, and that could end with a layup without even taking any dribbles at all. And the idea behind this drill is to have some 2-on-2 quick games. It's a fun drill, but it's also having our players think for themselves. So how I would run this drill myself with a younger team is to give them a couple of basics, like maybe a screen and roll, and then a pass and screen and a pass and cut like I just showed here. But also tell them, hey, I want you guys to think for yourselves and to try to experiment with other ideas that can help you score in game. That way, it's not just us as coaches telling the players what to do, it's us telling the players to be creative and to basically figure out the game themselves, so that when they get on the court, and let's say we're at the end of a play, at the end of a shot clock, and they just have to try and figure out what to do, they're going to go into a 2-man game, and they'll be able to score with maybe 5 seconds left on the clock and not be so stressed that they just pick up the ball, look around, and say, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. So this next drill is very similar to the first. Now, this drill may be a great drill to start off with in your practice before you do that first drill I just showed you. However, in this drill, it's going to be, we call this one at least, closeout passing with a shot. So you can do it with a shot or you can do it with a drive. So when player 1 passes the ball out, depending on your age, you may want to start at that free throw line instead. And from there, we would have player 1 close out. And when player 1 closes out, the first option is to have player 5 shoot. Now this way we can teach player 1 how to close out, taking stutter steps at the end, closing out with one hand up, one hand down for the pass, and that way we can teach our team, our players, how to close out without having to jump past and foul a shooter, because that just sucks when that happens in game. And then once they understand and are learning how to do that closeout with the stutter steps, what we would then move to is player 5 deciding to take one dribble and then having him decide or her decide to go left or right. one dribble left or right. That now makes that defender guess which way he's going to go and react quickly. So once player 5 receives that pass, that player needs to then decide one dribble left or right. Player 1, meanwhile, is going to be closing out and then needs to decide quickly, usually at the last second, which way to then close out to, and while player 5 is taking that shot. Again, teaching player 1 to close out with stutter steps, but also closing out one hand down for the pass, one hand up. This hand that's down is also good for being able to cut off the drive. And then we can teach how to close out without fouling. And then when this happens after that dribble, we can teach our team and our players to think for themselves and say, well, if you take that one dribble and you pick up that ball, how are you landing on that foot? Are you going right foot on the left side, or are you stopping on both feet at the same time? Because that does matter. If you were to stop on both feet, like a jump stop, you can now pick which foot can be your pivot foot, and then you can react accordingly, take a shot fake, take a step around, and you can take that shot. Or if they go right-left on that left side, they go bang-bang with their feet. Now they know, hey, right foot needs to stay on the ground, left foot can pivot around, and at that point, they can take that shot fake, step through, but they, at that point, would be learning footwork with the exact same drill as we are teaching right now. There's still one more drill left, but make sure if you're looking for basketball practice plans, check out the links below. Okay, so now this next drill we call numbers, and there's two different ways of running numbers, and you can choose with your team how you would like to run it. So we're going to have two lines of players, and they're going to be laying down on their stomachs. We're going to be numbering off each player, and how I like to number them off is by having the numbers going in sequence this way, and then having the numbers go in sequence the opposite way on the other line. From there, what we're going to have is either one or two balls in the middle of those players. Now, this is going to be totally different because you could even have just one basketball. It's totally up to you, and I'll explain both ways. So from here, what we're going to have, let's say we have the coach call out number 5. In the first way of running this drill, we're going to have number 5 go to the middle, pick up their basketballs, and they're both going to try and score on that rim. Player 5 will attack, player 5 will attack, and whoever makes that layup first wins. You can also make a rule that says, if for older age groups, that only mid-range shots are allowed, or only 3-point shots are allowed, depending obviously on your skill level and your team age. The other option is having only one basketball. Now, if you only have one basketball, what you can do here is, again, call out that number, and that number is going to run to the middle. Whoever gets that basketball first now has that ball. That player now needs to attack the rim, while player 1, blue, needs to go and defend that rim. And you can have it so that they can only do maybe 3 or 4 dribbles, or you can not do that also and just say, hey, we only want one shot. And that way you can make that game go a bit quicker. I hope that these drills help your team win more games. Make sure to go check out the link down below for different practice plans, because I know that you'll absolutely love them.